Nope, you're not imagining it. Ubiquiti has finally released not just one, but two items of the new Superlink family. This is the Superlink Sensor, and this is the Superlink Siren. Just a quick refresher, Superlink is Ubiquiti's long-range, low-latency IoT platform that is designed to be simple, easy to use, and of course integrated directly into UniFi. It is designed for commercial and residential use, and was announced 6 months ago. We've been waiting all this time for the new products to arrive, and I'm happy to say that today is the beginning of that rollout. Let's start with the sensor. It's a tiny box, as you can see, which means that the sensor itself is tiny as well. You've got a small polycarbonate, similar in industrial design to the Superlink itself. Behind me over here in the rack is my Superlink gateway, and that is going to be what we're going to connect this to automatically, and then go for a little ride and test the 2-kilometer range through the houses in my neighborhood and see what kind of range we actually get out of this device. When we're done with that, we're going to be able to easily pair it with the Superlink Siren and experiment using that for different alarm scenarios. Superlink Environmental Sensor is IPX5 rated, which basically means that it is all waterproof except for immersion. It has here on the front a status LED, a signal LED, an ambient light sensor, a function button, as well as temperature and humidity sensor. And these two little metal sensors on the front here are your water and moisture sensors. On the back of the device, you have your reset button and CR123A battery slot, and on the bottom of the device you have a little rubber grommet that is covering a 3.5mm aux jack for a water leakage probe. I've been told by Ubiquiti that they are not producing a first-party leak detection sensor, but they have tested and used this with the Yolink Water Leak Sensor 2 and 3, Mocreo SW2, Eve WaterGuard, and the Moen Smart Leak Detector. So all of those are confirmed to work with this little device. Opening up the battery door in the back here, you have this pops off to reveal another battery door, which if you get your nail in there and pop that off, you'll see the battery in there. Now I'm told that of course, depending on the settings that you implement on this, based on their testing, the battery in this device should last for a whopping 6 years time, which is just fantastic. So feel free to just throw this thing up wherever you need it, let it connect and report to your system for the next 6 years and forget about it. Let's get this started. I'm going to pull the tab there so that the battery can start, so the battery will start flowing electricity and we can connect up to my Superlink sensor behind me. I've got my dashboard over here and instantly, just like that, it's already listed here, ESL Environmental. I'm going to click to adopt. The device is adopting. You can see now there is a white LED that is lit to indicate that it is on. Over here in the interface, you can see that you have no leaks detected. This is 219 lux, which is rather bright because I have studio light sitting right in front of me. If you were to cover the sensor, it would obviously get darker. It is a 43% humidity in here right now, and it is 81.7 degrees, which I really should take a look at because my thermostat is set to 72, even though it is on the other side of the room. I guess my hands are pretty warm from holding this. However, I would expect that to go down as the sensor gets acclimated. You can see over here, just below the sensor manager, you have the status is online. The connection is -41 decibels, dBm, decibel meter, I think, dBm, which makes sense given that my Superlink gateway is right there. You have the device version, battery, MAC address, and uptime. You can view the status light, so it tells you here that white means it's ready for adoption, blue means that it has been adopted, and red is low battery, and that's on the left-hand side. The right-hand LED, if it's blue, it means connected, and if it's red, it means disconnected. Pretty straightforward. Now, over on the statistics side, you will be able to get a graph of what happens as time goes on, how your temperature, humidity, and light changes, and then, of course, over in the settings, you can name it, you can pair it with a camera, you can tag it, you can tell it which events you want to capture and their safe zones. You can do the update frequency. Now, of course, the more frequently you update this, the more it is going to burn the battery. I'm curious what they tested this based on for 6 years, considering it's a new product. I'm actually curious how they do that entirely. How do they simulate? I guess it would be how much battery it burns over X amount of time, and then they multiply it out, theoretically. I don't know. I'll try and ask and get an answer on that. Other things that you have in here is the connection settings. You can choose which Superlink you have it on, and you can, just like with an AP, lock to the Superlink gateway. You can then finally restart and remove. And back over in the sensor manager over here, actually before we go there, I want to point out one more thing, is that this function button on the front here, if you tap that, it will, and this is sleeping because, for example, you have it set to, I don't know, 30 minutes. If you want to get a reading right then and there, you tap this button, it wakes it up, and it will update the reading over here. And so you can see that our lighting is now 113 lux, and our temperature is at 82.1. So you can see a little bit of change there, and when that was triggered, and what do you call it, when what those are updated. Then of course if you go in the sensor manager, this is going to look just like before because it's basically the same sensor manager. And then if you go down into the alarm manager, you can set up a new alarm with this as your activity, or your sensor. So for example, if you have extreme values or a water leak, you can make sure that it is pulling off the ESL environmental, and then you can have it notify or unlock or put a light or change your camera to look around if that's the way you want to do it. Or you have the ability for sound. Now sound can be generated with the AI horn, or you can connect up the new siren and set off a siren when you have an alert. Which is a perfect segue to my sponsor, To Borrow from LTT. But first I have to go to my kid's school. Back to school night, man. Apologies for the interruption in the video, but at least I'm doing it in a picturesque location. Hopefully this is a nice, serene, relaxing moment for you. But I have to talk about Movebot. I have here with me Colin from Movebot, who's the sponsor of this channel, longtime friend of the channel, and who without I would not be able to do most of the videos, or if not any of the videos. So thank you very much for your support. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Jesse. It's an absolute pleasure to be here.
Why don't you tell us a bit about Movebot?
Sure. So Movebot is basically a next-gen data migration platform. If you want to move data into Google Workspace or between Google Workspaces, tenant to tenant, we have a fully scalable product. You don't have to worry about setting up any infrastructure. We can connect over 30 different platforms. Really easy to use, and it should be for sort of Google to Google migrations or migrations into Google, really point, click, and go. And honestly, as simple as that.
It is super simple. Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jesse. Thank you.
You know, it really helps to hit record when you sit back down, but that's fine because the previous version wasn't that great anyway. Again! Next up, we have the brand new Siren POE. It is an all-weather, wall-mountable or ceiling-mountable siren. Now, that's all it does, is it just makes the siren sound. This isn't like the AI horn. All this does is make the buzzer. Now, it's very loud, not quite as loud as the AI horn. I believe the AI horn is 120 decibels. This is 110 decibels. But having tested it out, just like the AI horn, this thing is really freaking loud. It also has a LED light ring around the device to A, serve as emergency lighting, and B, as a way to flash and draw attention to the device. On the back of the device, you'll notice up here is a little dot that is depressible. That is your tamper sensor. You've got a really solid Ethernet gland over there, and you have a cable track. You have a cable track in the middle, and you have a cable cap in the bottom in case you are not routing the cable through that direction. There's also a security T8 anti-drop screw, which is going to be very helpful to make sure that it stays in place. This is weatherproof at IP56 rating, which means that it can be left outdoors without a problem. It does have RGBW LEDs in here in this ring around the device. So far, when I was playing with it, I only saw the blue LED when I clicked to locate, but I imagine when the siren goes off, it will turn it to red. Perhaps white will be the emergency lighting, but we'll have to see how that looks. Let's get this plugged in. I have the XG desktop switch right here next to me so that I can have a full powered connection. And I just plug it into the back of the device like so, and immediately you'll see there's a little LED here on the bottom that shows that it is connected and receiving power. And let's take a look over here on the computer. And there it is, UP Siren POE. We're gonna click to adopt. It's adopting. Device has been added, so it's online. The connection is excellent. UP Siren POE, device version, MAC address, IP address, uptime, and which alarms and when they have been triggered. So to give you an idea here of the light, let's do locate, and you can see how bright that is. That is actually quite bright. I'm not sure how well that's coming across on the camera, but there you go. Now you can see it flashing quite bright blue. And I'm going to turn the, first of all, stop recovery, please. I'm going to turn the siren down to 10% because this sucker is loud. And I'm going to turn the decibel meter on my Apple Watch. I really need a more official decibel meter, but we're going to use this one instead. Okay, and we're going to hit test siren. Again, this is at 10%. We're currently, when I'm talking rather loud. It's 82 decibels. If I stop talking, it goes down to 36 decibels. Now let's test the siren. You can see it's flashing red there, and it is 90 decibels. 90 decibels is 10%. Take it up to 20. 100 decibels. Okay, so that is very loud, and I only took it up to 50%, and that was while covering the speaker. At 20%, I got to 100 decibels. So it may say that it's 120, but I think that this actually is capable of going quite a bit louder. I'm not sure at what distance they are testing the maximum capability output of sound on this device. Says it's 110 decibel siren buzzer. However, again, I only had it at 20% and it was already at 100 decibels. So I'm not sure how it's going to I'm not sure how loud it's going to really get, but needless to say, that's really freaking loud. Now back here on the computer, if we go into the settings like you saw before, you can change the name, max volume as I was doing here, manual recovery, locate, restart, and remove. But where the magic really happens here is where you pair the two of these or any of the others together, where you have the ESL environmental, for example, or one of the cameras, such as the G6 turret or G6 PTZ. Let's take the G6 turret, for example, and let's take a look over here. We have a crossing line of when it's going to go across my driveway towards the garage over here and more towards the house, which is what I want to know in case somebody is actually leaving the sidewalk and, you know, coming to check out my side of things and see what's going on over here. I don't really want to see that. So again, going from B to A. So now, since I have this, I can save that. Well, I already have it, so I don't have to save it, but I can go into the alarm manager and say that when alarm manager, create alarm, when there is activity of somebody crossing the line on the G6 turret, where is it over here? Here we go, G6 turret, then sound audio file. Now that's not going to work because again, this doesn't play an audio file, it only plays a siren. The audio file is restricted to the AI horn. So let's go over into Siren, and you'll see that now we can select the UP Siren POE. The duration will be for 5 seconds. I'm actually going to set it for 30 seconds so that I have enough time to come back in here and see if it went off. And the add action is I'm also going to notify all admins, and I can hit test to see what's going to happen. So because this is a test, I'm actually going to go down to 5 seconds because this is going to be really loud, and I don't really want to blow my eardrums out. So let's hit test on here. Okay, so now I'm going to actually go and test this. I'm going to set it for 30 seconds and also set to notify. And then I'm going to name this as cross threshold siren. Okay, I'm going to hit create, and then I'm going to leave this on top of the box. Whoops, knocked it over. And now I'm going to go outside, which my microphone should still pick up, and trigger it. I'm standing over here. I come in this way. I'm definitely crossing that line. There it is. Now it's going off. Okay, so that's really loud. I should have been wearing earplugs. That's loud. I'm actually going to disable this because that's really freaking loud. Okay. We paused that alert because I don't want this going off in my face in case somebody tends to walk across the sidewalk over there and set that off. So no events will be triggered. However, you can see here that cross threshold siren has been triggered at G6 turret. And if I click on G6 turret, it shows me, well, that's not in high quality, so let's drop this up to high quality. And you can see me walking around here. All right, now that we're through playing with the new products and testing them out, it occurs to me that we didn't go through what's in the box. So let's take a look. This is the box for the Siren. It's nice and narrow. The Siren came with a nice little hat that goes on the front of it, just like the APs, so that you don't get your dirty fingerprints all over it when you're mounting it to wherever you are mounting it. Of course, thank you for that, Ubiquiti. Then also in the box, you have your mounting template, as well as your mounting hardware. It's a little Ubiquiti logo on there, of course. And a bag of screws, another bag of screws, and another bag of screws, and a fancy T8 Allen wrench or whatever that's called, as well as the rest of the gland that goes around the cable onto the cable gland over here so that it stays fully waterproofed. And in doing that, you also have in the box here 3 different size glands to put on there, and of course the reading materials in the middle. I'm going to put this aside, and then for the environmental sensor, we've got mounting template, of course, with the Ubiquiti logo on there, and we have some screws and anchors, bag of screws. Pull out the rest of the stuff in here, and you've got a metal mounting plate, which, oh, this actually has an adhesive attached to it. That's very nice. You can just peel that. Oh, that's an adhesive. Just peel that back, and now you've got a sticky underneath there. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe, nope, I thought it was magnetic. Ah, I'm an idiot. It's magnetic to the sensor. So what you do is you take your screws or your sticky and you mount this into the wall, and then you take your sensor and you pop it on. Only other thing in the box here is your regulatory reading materials. And of course, on both of these, the scan installation guide. Curious if that comes up at this point because it hasn't actually been made live yet. Here, you want some inside baseball on why doing what we do as reviewers is so hard? This setup guide doesn't go anywhere. It just goes to the website. So a lot of this stuff we have to figure out on our own and ask questions of Ubiquiti, and obviously they help us out tremendously on figuring out how to do all this. But sometimes it's like, well, let's see what happens. All in all, these are very solid additions to the Ubiquiti lineup and solid beginnings for the Superlink setup. If you'll notice from the blog post back in, what was it, March when they announced this, in February, just in time for my birthday, they showed off a couple of devices here in this video, which I'm actually going to full screen it. And in this video, you'll see, oops, start it over. There's a couple of items here, and that's what we're seeing right now. So we've got right over here, the environmental sensor is right here. So that's leak detection, temperature, humidity, etc. And we've got over here in the back is the Siren. So as far as other things in this family that they've leaked that we haven't seen quite yet, you've got your glass break sensor, the fob, which I'm excited for, that'll be pretty cool. Smoke detector, which I'm excited to see how they're gonna implement that. Alarm hub also should be very interesting. Relay, which is likely to work together with the alarm hub. And then entry sensor, so that's a contact sensor that can detect when the door is closed, similar to the all-in-one sensor that they have in Protect. Then over here, you've got the Superlink gateway, which we already have here behind me, of course, and the motion sensor and air quality sensor. Air quality sensor I'm very interested for because right now I have an air quality sensor on my desk from, I don't know, I forget who makes it, but essentially it tests the air every couple of minutes and it tells me on the screen, you know, how my air quality is in here. And given that I'm in the studio and often have the doors and windows closed and sometimes have the air conditioning off or heat on or whatever, my air quality starts to suffer, and it's good to know when to go touch grass or open a window, etc. And I'd love to have something integrated into Ubiquiti that'll just ping me on my phone and say, hey, it's getting a little stuffy in here and you may want to open a window. And then of course alarm control is going to be this button, which is going to be very helpful because I imagine that's how you're going to, you know, with one press, turn things on or off, arm or disarm, etc. So that's the rest of the family that they have leaked so far, and hopefully we'll see more of these soon because it's been several months and we haven't gotten an update on this yet. So I'm greatly looking forward to seeing all of these. I'm curious, the alarm control and the fob, that should be interesting to see the difference between them. The fob looks like it's got 4 different sections of things that you can touch, 4 different buttons there that'll trigger different things, and maybe even something on the side, I don't know. Again, I have no further information. This is what I got. This is what they sent me. I know nothing else past here. I didn't even go to the last conference. So even if they mentioned something there, which I don't know if they did or didn't because I wasn't there, I don't know. This is literally all I'm working off of and all the data that I have. So I know as much as you do. Again, this is the Superlink sensor over here, which we already have. Oh, that's the other thing I need to test. I need to take this for a ride and see how far that goes. But other than that, the only other thing that we're showing here is this is a little misleading. I thought there was going to be a screen on the Siren. There is not. I guess that was a little bit of wishful thinking on my part. Let's full screen this. So they were telling the truth in this video. Here's the little sensor, and you've got everything you see here. Low latency, sure. Multi-year battery life is now confirmed at 6 years, up to 2 kilometers. Okay, that's the motion sensor, which we haven't seen yet, but we were just talking about it. Here we go. Here's some more information on here. You have panic, night mode, arm, open gate. That's going to be really interesting, especially to see how it integrates into the rest of the ecosystem. And then, yeah, I guess that was just me being hopeful that there would be a screen there. There's not. That'll be able to turn the alarm off. And as you saw, the different LEDs show up on here. So I'm really, really excited about the rest of this entire lineup. I think this is a massive next stage for Ubiquiti, branching out into this area. And honestly, IoT is hard. All of the other platforms that are out there, Zigbee and Z-Wave and Thread and Matter and all these other protocols where they agree on some things but not on other things and everybody has their own proprietary. Yes, there was a lot of kickback on my previous video when they announced this about yet another proprietary protocol, but you already use all of the other Ubiquiti family of products, most likely, whether it's Wi-Fi, network, cameras, security, access control, etc. Once you've got all that, it's a much stronger use case to have its own walled garden approach, especially when you're talking about it being in the more business and enterprise use case, which gets even more complicated when you start getting into enterprise and business smart systems. They mostly don't exist, and those that do are very much not easy to use. So I have been really looking forward to somebody, thank you Ubiquiti, getting on this and making a much better platform overall, and I'm very much looking forward to rolling it out. Now, this video is a bit long already, so I'm going to save the range test for another day installing this at my client's the Long Beach Beer Lab, the same place that I tested the original Superlink gateway, so make sure that you're subscribed for that. The environmental sensor costs just $49, and the POE Siren costs $109, and both are available today. These are both excellent price points, and I look forward to the continuing rollout of the rest of the Superlink family. Also announced today were the new G6 Pro Bullet cameras, and I should have a video out on those in the next couple of days, so stay tuned. I am working really hard to get to 20,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so if you're not already, please hit that subscribe button, and of course hit the like button so that you know how this works. The YouTube algorithm knows that you like the video and then serves it to more people, and then I can get more subscribers, which means I can continue making these videos for all of you. Of course, please drop your questions and comments down below. I did mention that I'm going to be doing another video on these in an industrial setting at the Long Beach Beer Lab, so I will try and answer all of your questions in that follow-up video. As always, thanks for watching.